Greetings and welcome to a Monday edition of the Shotgun Start. It is September 30th. Andy, how we doing?
Brendan, I'm doing great. It's a victory Monday for me.
Is it?
Well, Pendy didn't get it done. My beloved Bears did.
I thought Illinois was the event of the week.
You know what? We hung in there.
Still ranked. Incredible. I don't know how you go on the road, lose by 2 touchdowns, and you're still ranked.
Honestly, I think we kind of won that game, but lost it. This is just in true Illinois fashion. I will say,
that talking point.
Penn State had a completely different class of athlete on the field compared to my Illini. I have never seen two running backs run over more opposing players than the Penn State running backs running over our defenders.
Well, I'm glad you're providing the insight, because I gotta imagine most people are watching Georgia Alabama. Opposite that one, an all-time classic. I wouldn't say the President's Cup was an all-time classic. What happened with the Bears? They just won? They beat, who'd they play again? Somebody
they played
stinky,
the Rams,
right?
The
Rams.
They pieced it together.
Rams.
After an ugly first half, the offense finally looked somewhat competent in the second half. Shane Waldron is a dunce.
DJ Moore's like sitting at the end of the bench, not talking to anybody. Doesn't seem to like Caleb very much from people reading tea leaves or what's going on.
He was a big Justin Fields supporter last year. I mean,
that's fine, but the number one pick, the 20-year-old, you can't be a dick to the new guy who's not a kid, but a rookie. Seems bad. That seems not good.
He got a touchdown.
And you're DJ Moore. Come on.
He had a touchdown today. They're going to mend fences. He's going to get some good balls thrown to him for the first time in his career, and it's going to mend fences. Hey, can I tell you someone that I felt so good about, feel good moment of the weekend?
Sure.
I mean, great story, incredible story of perseverance, overcoming all odds. Taylor Pendrith, 17th tee box today. After his week on the 17th tee, which two balls in the water, a hot pull, another round over the green left. Today, he hits a great shot into 17. It was the most suspenseful moment in the whole Peak Cup.
That's just not accurate. Now, what happened? Did he win his match?
No, he lost his match.
Okay. That's what I thought. Well, but he got a good shot in off 17.
Yeah,
Pendy, you're all worked up about.
He had to be. I mean, he couldn't have had any good thoughts in that moment.
I mean, he was close to unplayable yesterday, Saturday night. All shot with Adam Scott. I mean, he looked like. I don't want to be hyperbolic here. He looked like not a tour pro. I'll just leave it at that. It was bad. He looked like he had just completely lost the ability to find. Same with Corey Connors. We're going to give out grades. Corey Connors was all over the place on Saturday. Bounced back today and beat up on Tony Finau. The Canadians, I would say, were
pretty bad.
Up and down. Yeah. Mac Hughes, some good moments on Friday. Crowd.
You know who should have been on the team?
Roaring. Mike Weir. Tough scene. What?
You know who maybe should have been on the team?
Who?
Cam Davis. Maybe put Cam Davis on the team.
Maybe. Yeah, I don't want to. I mean, look, it's 18.5 to 11.5. I don't know that Cam Davis is immediately making that up. The elixir that changes that. Shane Ryan had a stat in the press conference just now with the losing. We're recording this. The Browns are losing the fourth quarter. The U.S. is just talking now as we record this Sunday night. But Shane Ryan had a stat in the losing press conference that said the difference in holes won this week was just one hole. It had been 25 and 26.
Insane.
I just try to get you worked up.
This is just the most ridiculous. I was having a Twitter exchange. He pulled this. It all came in one session. They got hot for one afternoon and played way beyond their abilities. And then they came back to earth.
They lost the next 3 sessions.
They lost 4 of the 5 sessions. They weren't close to winning any of the other 4 of 5 sessions. I get the holes 1 thing. It's just a silly way to look at it, because if you run it up in one match, it can completely alter that.
Well, I think this is yeah. Look, they were like, they had probably a 15% chance to win at the start of the week. They got beat. This is the largest margin of victory, I think, for an away team. I believe Justin Ray tweeted that. A lot of that was run up, I would say, in singles. Not that, that's misleading in any way. The Americans were, they ran up the score there at the end on Sunday. They were better.
By just
I'm not
winning
saying it
matches?
Yes. I'm not saying
it's not like a basketball game where one team
I don't mean it like that.
Pulls
the
starters, and the other team keeps.
No. See Greg Schiano against Howard? Did you see Greg Schiano a few weeks ago against Howard? Just like running it like against. Jeez, I don't mean it in that way. I'm saying the tally, like the better team played better, won more matches, and the tally got, it wasn't really in doubt, but it became even more escalating as the day wore on. I think there's going to be a lot of hard takes about the Peak Cup after another blowout. I don't think there have been too many blowouts in recent years. Liberty National was not close. Quail Hollow was up and down.
Fake close.
Do you think it's in need of a significant relook and overhaul before we go to Medina? Not before, but I think Medina is probably set in stone. But going forward on a longer term basis, on a go forward basis, as they might say.
I watched way more P Cup than I thought. I watched basically every moment of the P Cup and this week, and I found myself very interested in it despite not really being interested in it, if that makes sense.
Kind of.
Knowing what the outcome was going to be, I was still interested in the P Cup. And I think from my perspective, my grand takeaway, everybody's going to say blow it up. My grand takeaway is there needs to be way more match play in men's professional golf. The Ryder Cup, this event, they're 2 of the most interesting tournaments that we have. And there are so many sellable, different
marketable.
There's so many different neat formats that could be done that introduce more team match play and more match play to the game, because what match play invokes is really fun versions of golf. I'll never forget, I asked Jeff Ogilvy years ago when we did the pod about, he won 2 of the WGC match plays, and I asked him about what he liked about match play, and he's like, well, playing stroke play is building a foundation you're building the foundation of your house. You're building the house, and you just want to methodically build a tournament.
Mm-hmm.
Match play, you're able to play much more aggressive, and you're able to go for more things. So if you think about it in that, just the way he described that, match play is a way more exciting version of the game because players are more adept to take on risk. Stroke play, 72-hole stroke play, all they're trying to do is avoid making mistakes. They just try and hang around, and so you saw it, perfect example Saturday. You get these amazing swings, these amazing shots that they pull off because they're trying to do something spectacular. And to me, that is the beauty of the game of golf when that type of stuff happens. And you also get some of the chippiness that we saw this weekend, which I quite enjoyed.
Yeah. Look, if we talk about, the tour being an entertainment product, how many times have we heard that over the last 3 years or so? As you allude to, and McGinley called it these are 18-hole sprints. It's really, you're going right away. It's a sprint. I think that sort of corroborates sort of the Ogilvy analogy, and there's not a lot of time, even in a 4-ball, 5.5 hour 4-ball. There's not a lot of time to dilly dally. There's a lot of time to kind of trip over yourself and be done, be toast. I thought it was interesting. Furyk kept touting like the back nine. We were dogs. We want to be dogs on the back nine. A lot of it was also that front, especially today. I mean, the first 2 holes, like everybody's in, like it's kind of a pain in the ass when you're 1-2 down after 3 and 4 holes every match. That can be a pain in the ass to make up, psychological, as McGinley might put it. But Furyk was all about the back nine. I think they started so hot. Their best players started so hot, and that like clearly impacts the match right away. So this is a more entertaining product. And then when you talk about the chippiness, it's like, I don't know, you've got guys in like Instagram comments talking shit about one another and to each other.
It's amazing.
I don't know. That's kind of like, that's getting into NBA territory. I'm not saying it's like, these guys are going off on each other, but then you're becoming a little bit more like a major entertainment product in this country. Why not set up more environments for that? Go ahead.
We got to work on the NBA guys don't delete their tweets though. The NBA
sometimes
the NBA guys stand on it. We got to work on that part.
KD deletes some tweets, I think, over the years.
Or KD sends them from a different account.
Yeah, right. So BP, I think people get worked up about it.
I think everybody's going to go. Bad. Everybody's going to go try and solve the President's Cup, and I would say, and that everybody is going to say the same thing. This should be a mixed event.
Can we stop with this? It's the most facile bit of media commentary and punditry. Should be a mixed event.
I have a question.
Where was Jin Yun Ko today? She could have helped. Make a mixed event then. Go do it. But don't abandon the President's Cup.
What I was going to say is, why can't we have a mixed event? One thing that I really loved, and I apologize, I didn't prepare well enough here. Someone said this in my mentions. I think it's important to credit when you get an idea somewhere else. I do think it's important to credit it. So I got this from my Twitter comments. And I'm sorry that I don't know offhand who it was, but I really liked this. The idea of this is like a crazy, if you were going to make a twist, I kind of love this idea. And I'm going to twist their idea. So it's President's Cup and Ryder Cup. And it's like make it take it when you're playing pickup basketball, where you keep the court. So if the Americans, if we go back 2 years, the Europeans win the Ryder Cup over the U.S. They keep the court. They would have been playing the internationals this week.
That's an interesting.
And in America, the Americans have to sit out 4 years. But I'll twist it and say we do it every year, but who's playing is either the Europeans, the internationals, or the Americans.
I gotcha. I like that. It's fewer. It's just most likely fewer American. Has to be fewer because they play every year. I doubt they're going to win every year.
The hard part, which they did acknowledge, is that you wouldn't be able to do these long range activations. PJ wouldn't be able to be out at Bethpage, hobnobbing with media types, soaking in the free media rounds at Bethpage.
They're building the putting green at Medina. They're trying to figure out the new putting green at Medina already. That's 2 years out. Can't be doing that. They don't know where and when and who's going to be there. What if you had internationals versus Euros in Chicago?
It'd be sick.
You'd need Matt Fitz to make the team. You'd need for a little bit of local interest. That'd be interesting.
But don't you I'm kind of tired. The mixed event. I absolutely agree. It should just be an event.
Go for it. Do it. See how it does.
There are a bunch of clubs that do these 3 club. I remember I used to caddy in them. Where you'd play, a club would play 2 other clubs in a match. and you'd be caddying in the group for your guy, and he'd be playing two matches at the same time against two other clubs, or three other clubs.
I mean, I'd love to see a mixed event. I just don't know why that's always thrown out as the solution to the Peak Cup. I think did you watch Friday and Saturday and be like, this sucks? I'd rather watch the RSM. I want the Pro Core. I want, the Walmart at Northwest Arkansas Championship. What?
The one thing that just kept crossing my mind was like, could we play this course golf at any course other than this?
Right. Fair. That's going to be a persistent. I guess next time will be better. Medina should be a little exciting.
Medina and Royal Melbourne's the next two.
Kingston Heath, I think. Kingston Heath, I believe, and then it's Bell Reef, I believe. And then I'm going to go out on a limb right now. Next international one, 2032. King Abdullah Economic City. That's where I said the next one's going to be. Not yet scheduled. 2032.
Put that down. That's a good prediction. I like that prediction.
Green. Not yet scheduled. I'm going with that. But yes, Medina and then Kingston Heath are the next two.
Bell Reef. Why does a P Cup date need to be announced that far in advance? Of all the events, like the P Cup needs to be 8 years out too.
I mean, Billy and the boys got to start planning the unis. They got to start. That takes time to do the tailoring. It takes time to sketch script out 4 days. They looked dynamite this week. I got so many unsolicited texts. This is an ad read. We're going into an ad read. We're going to start giving out grades here in a second. I got unsolicited texts from a friend across the pond in Ireland said, the stylist, this biggest difference takeaway so far is the stylist is actually competent, looks great compared to the Ryder Cup. I said, well, I assume they listen to the pod. I was like, yeah, they do. Are you just trying to butter me up? And he didn't realize or forgot that, yes, it's Dratty, our good friends at Dratty. They look good, right? I love the array of layering. This isn't just an ad read.
They were looking good in the wool. I got one bone to pick. I got one bone.
Here we go.
I don't think they wore enough Andy hoodie.
They didn't. I think that was a personal rebuke.
Seems. Yeah, they probably were. They've probably taken a run at me.
I'm not doing that. You can get an Andy hoodie. They had the dyed in the wool vest. I really liked. Everyday vests were all over the Canadians. A lot of the gray on Saturday. Just the thin merino hoodie. Look, these are people who've been dedicated to this for a decade now. Billy walks around thinking about every fiber. What kind of vest do I want to make this? His name is attached to it. It's not just imprinted on something made in faraway lands. He doesn't even know what's being produced. They think about this stuff, and you can go explore the range at bdratty.com. Use the promo code SGS30. It was personally cool for us to see all these the best players in the world in all this gear that we've seen and gotten to know. It was personally cool. All right. Aside from the ad read, I enjoyed it. It's cool.
Can I ask you a question?
Yes.
Out of this ad break.
Yeah.
Do you think the next 12 Americans would have beaten the internationals this week?
No, I don't. I don't think they would have come. I thought that was pretty I think it really disrespects major winners, elite players. Do I think the 36th player in the world is as good as number 2, Xander Schauffele? No, that's clearly not the case. That's a mismatch, even in a fickle match play format. But this whole notion that this is, I think even you said Alabama versus Vandy. I'd say that's a stretch. People are talking about how mid-hand amateurs, low-level amateurs could do better than this, or should they put the junior?
That's ridiculous.
Should they put the Pointer brothers in there, the junior Ryder Cuppers? These are prideful major champions. 3 or 4 of them. Everyone's in the top 50 in the world, aside from Mac Hughes, I believe.
Can I just point something out? The highest ranked player in the next 12 Americans.
Yeah.
Is ranked higher than Mackenzie Hughes.
Sure. The worst ranked When you say highest, you mean the worst ranked. Okay. Who is that again? Taylor Moore or Eckroat or something?
Eckroat is 54.
Okay. So just yes, I don't think it would have been a demonstrably different.
I also want to point out in the next 12, there are major winners. There's former number 1 players in the world in the next 12.
Yeah, they're not as good. They're not. The internationals are not as good at the top. They're not as good.
I'm just pointing out there's
at the bottom.
Good talent
they're
at
not
the top.
As good a team.
There's not. I don't think it was that disrespectful.
But I do think they're capable of competing in a match play format. And you know what I think it discredits more than anything? It's like
Mike Weir's captaincy.
No, how good the U.S. actually is, and the U.S. actually showing up and being good, like living up to their rankings. I think it's like disrespects all sides when they do that shit, right? I mean, let's give out grades. Patrick Cantlay, Colin Morikawa, Xander Schauffele, A+, A+, A+. They all lead. They go all 5 sessions. They go 4-1. They are the points leaders for this this individual cup. A+ for all of them, all the way around. I wrote in the newsletter that, I mean, Cantlay is a golden god. He is Captain America. He's amazing. And you can just be exhausted by all the other bullshit you don't like. His pace of play, his, role on the PGA Tour board, his, idiosyncrasies, his, milquetoast demeanor, whatever it is you have an issue with. And he's become a punching bag. But you watch him Saturday, and this is like
that putt.
He's the how could you want anything different? He's not JT, who, even if he's great, is rubbing some people the wrong way on his own side with his antics. He doesn't do any of that. So, like, for better or worse, I enjoy the content, some of it. But isn't it what you want? Like the guy who you dance around in front of him and he just stares at you and just burns inside and then goes buries you? And the biggest testimony, he's never had a losing record. He's done 5 straight. He's done it on away. He's done it at home. Like, if you're the other team and it's on the 18th hole, like, who are you most scared of with a critical putt in a critical moment? And I think it's him. You're like, oh shit, but it's Cantlay, and he cemented himself.
I wouldn't be worried about Scotty with a critical putt. Putter wasn't good this week.
Which is interesting to say about the number 1 player in the world. He was good, not great. Would you say?
I mean, I would say
good.
I would say he was pretty This is from the sense of like what we saw over the course of the year. He was pretty bad given his level of play in all other weeks. If that makes sense.
He went 3-2. Yeah, he went 3-2-0. Lost 2 strokes on the greens for the tournament, for the weekend. That was a pretty bad loss to Hideki today, I would say. Hideki kind of, he let him hang around. I don't think he should have lost. What would you give Scotty as a grade?
I think like a B-.
Okay.
Maybe a C+. I think I'm grading him harder than, like, if Brian Harman went 3-2 and had his play, I would give him probably like a B+. It's
on a curve. It's on a scale. Yeah.
But yeah, I think Scotty was like pretty mediocre this week.
Right. Did any American have a losing record?
Yeah. Brian Harman.
And Homa went 1-2.
Bagel Boy.
Right?
Wyndham Clark went 1-2-1.
Wyndham Clark got chesty, huh? Is he the culprit?
Is Wyndham Clark it's like a legendary front runner?
It's fair. So there you have the 3 top guys who went 4-1. Scotty goes 3-2. Sam Burns, what grade would you give him?
I don't know.
3-0.
I don't think. I know. He went undefeated, but I don't think he was over. Like, did he ever like overly impress you? He impressed me getting up and down on 18.
He got aboard No Hat Pat. He got in with No Hat Pat for a few matches.
That's
go ahead.
I think I'd give him a I'll I'll give him a B. What about you?
Yeah, like a B plus. You go 3-0-1. The other thing, though, I think PJ, you're going to be seeing him at Bethpage unless he has some sort of catastrophic falling off in the next 8-9 months. Like really just dives in this next tour season. It seems like he is pretty firmly in the cohort of the U.S. team room, and I don't know that he's not handcuffed to Scotty anymore. Adds to his variability, I guess.
Speaking of handcuffed Scotty, I think we're getting Russ Henley at Bethpage too after this week.
This is ridiculous. We cannot make these sweeping.
I'm making one.
I'm not happy about it.
I'm making one. I said Sutton Sam Burns, unless there's a catastrophic fall off, is probably likely a part of this core group with Morikawa, Schauffele, Cantlay, and Scheffler.
Isn't it insane how quick the core group changes?
Yeah, it changes really fast. Like who can be the core for the next 10 years. I think like Cantlay and Xander, I don't see how they're off the team.
Morikawa too. I would throw him
probably
in there
Morikawa too. I mean, I'm talking like even if they don't make the FedEx Cup playoffs, I think they're still probably on the team. Cantlay and Xander.
I think the thing with Morikawa and Burns, like Burns, the putter's like a nice thing to have, like a guy that's a good putter. And like he's a good wedge player. And at this point in pro golf, that's kind of like if you can wedge and putt well, that's like a nice skill set to have in anything. As we saw with Pendrith, with Pendy, hitting wedges in this is kind of important. But I think like with Morikawa is like to me like one of the great U.S. Ryder Cup players because he's just like so reliable. Like that is just a quintessential, like you can play him in every format because he's going to make a lot of birdies playing his own ball in all shot. He is so great. Like I think that's the thing with the American team. What makes you? It also makes it interesting that they have these Ryder Cup issues, but like this could be like losing JT and Spieth. Like they lost a lot of like variability, like guys that like would have it and not have it. Like having Xander, Cantlay, Scheffler, and Morikawa be your horses. Those are four of the most consistent day in, day out golfers in the world. And that is what kills you in match play. I mean, if you look at the data, like America absolutely annihilated the international team from tee to green. And those four guys are among the best players tee to green in the world. It's not like a coincidence.
Brown's beat reporter flashing across my screen tweeted, "The draft is in 207 days." So I'm going to take it. They lost at the end in Las Vegas. Early part of the schedule, Vegas, Giants, Jags, and what appears to be a crappy Cowboys team. We're 1-3. Only gets harder from here. Doesn't sound like it's going well there. Yeah. What would you grade Furyk?
Maybe like a B-. I think that Friday,
a lot of people jumped on some of his decisions. Yeah.
Friday was really bad. Like not having Morikawa play on the evens was like, to me, like I can't get past that. Or not having him play on the odd holes, on the par threes. And then also like if you're hitting on 4 par threes, that means somebody else is hitting driver for you on a bunch of other holes that you're also hitting approach shots on. So to me, I think like, I mean, I guess a B. I can't give him an A.
Fine. B is fine. They just
didn't do anything spectacular.
It's hard to like, yeah. Right. The largest away margin.
What would you give Weir?
Here's my next question. We're getting to Mike Weir. First question though, is there another former Ryder Cup losing captain that you'd want to see come to the P Cup just to rehab his image in the way that Furyk did? Well, that's what I'm going.
Without a doubt.
Tom Watson, Zach. I mean, is he next? Just go rehab your image at the P Cup.
Get back in
the
ass captain role.
That would be a content bonanza. I really hope for that. But I'm happy for Furyk. That would have been bad. Friday night, I was like, oh my God, this would be a complete something you'd have to wear for a long time if you lost both, especially after a 5-0 lead.
What
is there anyone you'd give?
Can I
go ahead?
You know what? I want to know the captain I most want
for the U.S.
Yeah.
Who?
Billy.
I mean, for sure. Absolutely.
I think he'd be like getting in people's faces.
He'd be doing the Kistner thing a bit, but with a little bit more passion and intensity, a little less governor on him.
Kevin Kistner did finally take his shirt off before they entered the press conference.
How about that? How about NBC just
hammering it,
going for it so hard, and he wouldn't give it to him. He's like, no, I'll do it later in the team room. Cara Banks, Smiley trying to get him, Dan Hicks. They're talking about it nonstop. Andy, you're talking about how they want maybe should recoup some of their rights money. Kistner just like refusing to do it for their airways and like, I'll do it later. Was just the entire story arc of the last 2 hours of their broadcast was Kistner removing his shirt. And he's like, nope, I'm going to do it later after you guys are off the air in the team room or something like that. Unbelievable how hard they were trying for that.
There wasn't many storylines to follow. I feel like no matter what the score is going into the final day, there's always a moment where it seems like it might go the other way.
Yeah. And there was a moment where there was a lot of yellow there. But yes, I don't think there was.
There's no doubt
felt like
today.
It was gonna get, yeah.
Even when it was all yellow, it's like, well, like these aren't all gonna stick. It's like,
and they already had like the Xander point banked. Yeah.
Pendy ain't gonna beat Pat Cantlay.
that much was true. Is there anyone on the American side you'd give like below a passing grade?
Brian Harmon was awful.
Took a shot. Finau was pretty bad.
Tony Finau was bad.
Sahith came back pretty good today and was pumped up, fired up. I'm glad he got an individual point. I mean, after sitting a little, or he got tied. He tied Ben on, I should say. I don't want to give him the full point.
One other thing of note.
Finau was bad. Yeah.
The Americans won by the score of 18.5 to 11.5, with statistically by far the two worst players in the field. Like not even close. They were Tony Finau and Brian Harmon were like on a different planet bad. And they played 7 total matches. So despite having 2 complete dog shit players, like for anybody saying this was close.
All right.
The Americans had the 2 worst players in the event by far, not even close. And they played 7 matches. It's not like they played 2. They played 7. And they still won by 7 points.
Finau got 2 points out of it, being the second worst player. But he lost 8 strokes, I think, over the course of the tournament. Strokes gained it's a little tough. It's very limited set, but they were the 2 worst players. Anyone else on the American side? Wyndham Clark, interesting. Went 1-2-1. If true, he was chirping at Tom Kim and it seems like he's the culprit that Kim was trying to call out as someone on their team was cussing him out in the middle of the match. I don't know. I mean, Kim makes himself the subject of that stuff. Then he gets called out by Ben On. Like, it's always the ones who don't do shit, who talk shit, I think was Ben On's quote. And Wyndham Clark pops back. It's like, you didn't even make a start today, which is a separate discussion on Weirsey we'll get to here in a minute. Wyndham Clark, I don't know. I give like a C or something, or a B, a C plus, I should say. Everyone else was, really passing or great. So, and not everyone's going to play like incredible. They won by 7. It's not like,
also the way
12 guys
strokes
are gonna
gained
go.
works is people have to be bad if people are good.
Yes. Yes.
I think like
And there's only
everybody
24.
clutches their pearls with these strokes gained numbers. It's very small. It's a very small field.
We'll let
very
Lamagna
small
explain
sample
that
size. And because one player plays well, that means like somebody else has to go down. Like you can't have the whole field can't be positive strokes gained.
There's only so many. Yes.
Like you have to balance out the negative strokes gained.
And I think people are just, it's similar to record. You got to take it in totality of what you saw, what the points record was, what's the strokes gained. You got to kind of bake it all in together. Let's flip to the international side.
On the American side,
the grades won't be. Yeah.
I know everybody likes Tony Finau. I love Tony Finau. I don't think I need to see him in team competition again. I don't think he's ever been great.
I wouldn't disabuse you of that take, that notion.
I genuinely love Tony Finau. He's he'd be on a short list of favorite players. But he's historically been, it feels like to me, pretty bad.
Unreliable, I would say. Yeah. Doesn't seem like in totality he delivers. But this was not a good week for him on multiple ways. Putting,
I think the other thing about just match play and team match play, it's just it offers a lens into so many moments of consequence throughout a round. It's unlike stroke play in the sense that how much weight is on every shot is magnified. You kind of get to see end of Sunday golf tournament moments every round and early and late in the round in every match. I think there should be some sort of a match play event every quarter on the PGA Tour calendar.
Team or just
some team, some individual.
Yeah.
You could have a partner match play event. It'd be awesome. And then don't have them be part of a FedEx Cup event, but you could have a cool match play champion belt that goes to the best match play. You could create a different cup that you could sell. It could be the Comcast Cup.
Comcast Cup. We're losing you a little
to
bit.
The best match play player.
Let's flip over and grade the other side. Pendy. Your guy, Pendy, you're attached to the hip with Pendy from here on into eternity. Your guy, you're riding for him. One of my favorite moments of the entire Cup was he's playing 4-ball with Adam Scott on 14. So he's going to go for the green. He's a big hitter. He's not short. He's a big hitter, big boy. And he took it out over the water. The thing didn't reach the green. It landed 40 yards short of the green. It could not have been many more in the middle of the lake if he tried. And that was I just cackling laughing. This wasn't like the Woody Austin territory. And he's a big hitter. That was one of my favorite moments. I think it was 4-ball. It was probably, I guess, Saturday morning, maybe 4-ball towards the end there. And just nowhere close. Adam Scott hits an iron. I think that was when he made the putt from the back of the green.
I feel like Saturday mornings where the general discourse turned on Pendy. That's when the public really started
Saturday afternoon
focusing on Pendy. And
what's your grade
things got tough
for Pendy?
For Pendy backers. I'm going to give Pendy a B.
Okay.
Because
so B for Pendy.
For Pendy. You know why?
Why?
Not a lot of guys came into this tournament with a 0 for 4 on their back from last time.
Bagel boy. He's now 2 and 3.
If I hadn't put all my stock into Pendy early in the week, I might have given him I probably would have given him a D+, but I'm a teacher that's grading on curves, and he's really tried hard in class. He's come to every class. He hasn't missed any classes. He's come.
He's your pet, teacher's pet.
So I'm giving him a B.
You had high hopes for him. Okay.
Hey,
what about
what overarching? The issue with the, and we talked about this at the start of it, is Pendrith needed to play well. He was statistically one of their best players coming in with recent form. Hideki needed to play well. He's near the bottom of strokes gained.
He wasn't good. He was hard to,
Jason Day was negative in strokes gained. Adam Scott was negative in strokes gained. Like right there, I mean, you've got, I don't know, the 4 of your 6 best players were bad. Yeah. And it seems like to me, I don't want to, this is not like, again, big fan of Hideki, big fan of Adam Scott, but every time this tournament rolls around, they play like trash.
Do they play like trash, or do they just play, is Pendrith playing like Taylor Pendrith is just now up against, it stands out in contrast against Xander. I mean, Saturday was extra dicey.
I say this with all the respect in the world for Adam Scott and Hideki in particular. But I think match play is a lot of moments in match play correlate to winning golf tournaments, and those two guys don't win a lot of golf tournaments given how, I think both of them you would probably label as, I can't believe they haven't won more. And I think match play is as a format really, like, it amplifies who's kind of got it when all the chips are down.
Yep. On the other side, Connors, Hughes, what would you give them as a Canadian duo? I just want to hone in on the Canadians here.
I mean,
C's?
Yeah, sure.
Connors 2 and 3, played all 5 sessions.
That's another guy. It's another guy that had to play well. I saw Shane Ryan. I got in a discussion with Shane and Tron on Twitter. And something about like, why did Weir trot out, Connors? And I think he was talking about fatigue. He was talking about how bad Weir's captaining was because like he's just running these guys into the ground. It's like Furyk played Scheffler, Cantlay, Xander, Morikawa, all 4 matches. You know what? That's what you do with your horses. 5. Or all 5 matches is what I meant. That's what you do with your horses. Like, you have to.
Yeah.
And those guys, nobody's talking about them being tired or worn out. And Corey Connors was one of the guys that went 5 because you have to. He's your best. He's like, tee to green wise, he should be your best ball striker. So you have to play him all 5.
This is the crux of the matter for me. The Canadians weren't good enough, in my opinion.
I think this comes back to they stunk
Thursday
in Quail Hollow too.
The crowd Thursday kind of jammed them. Mike Weir was not a good captain. Connors and Pendrith weren't good enough. Hughes, did his part for being the lowest ranked, but he did okay. But 1 and 3. We're at where this was a unique peak up in that there was only 1 South African, 0 South Americans, just with the live incursion with all those guys. There was, Camilo was the only South American presence. So the Canadians who are much like Canadian golf's really strong. It's a much stronger place than when it used to just be basically Mike Weir or, Adam Hadwin, but they just weren't good enough. And that brings us to the captain, Mike Weir. Question we called the Milquetoast Mike on Thursday. Then we did an hour and a half live stream to watch the end, and he really, go watch that on YouTube, I guess, if you want. A lot of good banter and jokes in that one for a legendary peak up day. Quite honestly, that 5-0 whitewash. Weir as a captain, what grade would you give him? Saturday, they level it up 5-5. Minwoo sits for 2 days. Jason Day sits for the whole day, which had people in an uproar. Doesn't even does not put a new body in. Just goes same 4, run it back out there. They did not win the morning session. I wouldn't say they had they were hot to trot with but he says we had a plan. We had a plan for other outcomes, other solutions, but we had a plan. We're sticking to the plan. I don't know if this is just beholden to the data, beholden to gut. I assume the former, but it was a bizarre bit of captaining. And McGinley pounced on this. He's like, you just effectively you're gassing your players. It's like giving your running back 40 carries in week 1, and you need them for the next 2 months. There's a toll that can't be necessarily measured on paper between playing the same 8 guys 36 holes, the only 36 hole day.
I think Saturday's where he lost the plot. I'll give him a C-. And I think the thing about it is
milk toast, Mike D.
If you're gonna run somebody into the ground and go down with someone, you know what I'm not doing? I'm not gonna run into the ground and go down with literally the worst player on our team, Mackenzie Hughes. Statistically, over the course of the career, Bazade, why is Mackenzie Hughes just earned this distinction where he gets to just play like he's a star player?
It was bizarre.
Because he won a match the day before?
But they weren't lighting it up in the morning. That's what also the thing. You don't have to make the lineup at 7 a.m. for the whole day. Because here's what he said Saturday night. Nothing's up health-wise. We went 5-0 yesterday. We had a lot of momentum. But you didn't Saturday morning. You didn't go 4-0. We talked it through, and that was it. Okay, great. We had a plan. We had a plan for some other things, too. That's why we meet and go through those things. This is the explanation we got. We had a plan. We also had another plan. But we thought we had a lot of momentum. And, PJ, you called out Saturday. It was clear he hadn't really thought through it because of the timing, right? He wanted to put guys out first that weren't going to be in for their tee time because they were still playing.
Sungjae and Hideki were the last group in the morning, and they were on 16, and they had to be on the tee to start the second session in 10 minutes. And they weren't even done with the morning. So then they made Max and Harmon go out because they didn't play in the morning, and then delayed everybody else so those two could have a half hour of rest before they had to go back out after losing already.
I was so confused when this happened. My wife was really happy. I was running errands with her with the President's Cup on my phone. I was
did that all
it.
Saturday.
Yeah.
U Sports. Peacock was great for that. Shout out to Peacock, actually.
So anyways, I'm watching this. I was so confused when he came out with that pairing because I was like, wait a second. They're on they still got a bunch of holes left. And then I was like, well, I did think it was actually bogus. And this is all because of that fog warning that caused some problems. But I do think it's bogus that he wasn't able to send out the group that he wanted to send out first. How they just had to shuffle him to the back. Because a part of me was thinking, I was like, oh, when they finish, are they just going to hand him a box lunch like you're playing the USAM qualifier and go back to the first tee? I'm like, maybe they'll just roll into it because those guys were playing really good golf in that morning session. I felt like Sungjae was really good that morning. But yeah, it was so confusing. Mike Weir,
when you lose, there's always going to be some recriminations, some finger pointing. I'd say Weir was pretty underwhelming. I'd say, I think there's a real question, why did Minwoo Lee sit for 2 days? I don't know that he would have been the difference. I think he can be overhyped because people love him. It's bizarre that he sat for 2 full days. And then
also,
a lot of people pounced on the Jason Day thing. Go ahead.
There's all these different, you can look at data one way or the other way, and there's not a lot of data on how these guys play alternate shot. You're making assumptions.
Yeah.
But one of the things I'll say about Min-Woo Lee, an alternate shot, is like, you've got a player that he might have been the longest player in the field. Probably the longest player in the field.
It's one of the speediest for sure. Yeah.
A guy at a course that has thick rough and really soft greens where it doesn't really matter if you're in the fairway or in the rough. So you got a guy with like a lot of speed. Why don't you just find your best wedge player you got and put him with Min-Woo and say, go hit driver everywhere?
Roast it all over the place.
Right? That seems like kind of a good strategy.
Instead, he was in a chef hockey jersey for 2 days. Just walking around. I thought Weir wasn't a great captain.
Upset. What?
They enjoyed that. I thought Weir was not a great captain. What would you give Seabass?
Can I ask you?
Quick grade.
Seabass? He had the only winning record, but he was one of the statistically the worst. I'm giving him a C.
Friday show, you were giving him so much shit.
He was bad.
Thursday and Friday.
Just because he beat Brian Harmon. You're taking a victory lap because he beat Brian Harmon today, who could not play golf this week.
There was the back half of the board was all red. You know when like a boat goes out of harbor against the tide? It's like the solo boat just going out. And he hits a wave and he's flying. That was Seabass just going out. He was fighting, prideful, determined, standing on business. Seabass out there alone as everybody else is red. Seabass yellow, just battling. Even after the cup had been decided.
Can I ask you for a grade?
What a treat to watch him. Go ahead.
What would you give this guy?
Dayman! Fighter of the night, man! Oh, champion of the sun! Oh, you're a master of karate, friendship for everyone.
I don't know, a D? What do we want to give? You want to give him a good grade? Because that was an awesome chip. A really memorable day and moment on Friday night. We had so much fun doing the live stream for that. Awesome chip after, I think, a Seabass, right? Yeah, Seabass just went touch them all.
Seabass
threw it over the grid.
Trying to melt that match away. Just trying to throw it away.
Held on for an extra long with the hug. I don't know, a D. You're a major winner. You're saying this means so much to me. I'm in it. He's got the toy shield in the team room. He's shouting "Come on!" with the shield.
Well, and that's because he has to fight the Nightman. That's why he has the shield.
He got completely zipped up by Xander, which
he
most
birdied the first two
professional
holes.
golfers. All right, fine. Then he lost the next 7.
Dayman!
I get it.
Fighter of the night, man! Oh, champion of the sun! Oh, you're a master of karate, friendship for everyone. Dayman!
We did get popped by Daniel Powder. Did you see that? YouTube? You got
we couldn't stream our fans in Belarus and Russia were blocked from streaming. Did you know Daniel Powder is Canadian?
Powder?
He's Canadian.
Yeah. Worked out. Maybe he got crushed. I don't know. You just got to be something more if you're supposed to. Look, it's not an enviable position. You're going against Xander Schauffele. I don't know. You got to be better if you want to. Your team's going to win.
What is Jason Day anymore though? He's just he's a guy. He's a guy.
He's a mid-tier. Yes, he's a mid-tier who had an amazing run almost 9 years ago.
Yeah, he's the greatest player in the world 9 years ago.
Yeah. Didn't care about the Prez Cup. Now says he cares. What would you give him? What grade?
C-. I mean, he got a half a point across the board he got the point across the board.
Full point. Yeah,
when Seabass did everything in his power to throw it away. So I guess for that alone, it was a C.
That Friday will be one of the more memorable President's Cup days. Just a great day. Saturday was too. I just don't know how people. I know it was Sunday was a bloodbath. I don't know why people have an issue with just reveling in what a great. The course stunk. Of course, it could be better, but people shouting about how it's just we need to scrap this thing are silly. What would you get? We haven't talked much about the Kims. The Kims got real chesty and then lost.
How about the night? The night.
I'm still getting ratioed for being like pearl clutcher for trying to say golfers shouldn't celebrate. I don't care. I don't care what he could have pulled his pants down and mooned the other team there. That would I'm not against go ahead and dance. But what he did my issue was what he did not make sense. Okay, I'm happy he did it. It was good content. But
you're speaking of the night, the Steph Curry,
Steph Curry, which he does when he hits a 3 to go up 8 with 10 seconds left, or to go up 12 with a minute to go. When it's night, game over. Not when the match is all square with 4 to play or 5 to whatever it was against Xander and Cantlay, who then dispose of you on the 18th green.
They had no chance of winning after that.
No.
None. 0, none.
I didn't I'm getting popped for let the golfers do what they want. Let them have fun. I was I'm fine with them doing whatever. It didn't make sense. Tom Kim became a lightning rod, a real big lightning rod. He's allegedly friends with all these guys in Dallas and that, and the other. He comes in Saturday night. He accuses them of poor sportsmanship. Cantlay and Xander, I have no idea what he's talking about. Who I thought they played it it's everything you want. I mean, Kim's doing the inside the leather. He's doing the inside the JT move, I think is what we're just going to call that now. When you lay the putter down, which was the most predictable thing ever. As soon as he had to putt it, you knew he was going to go back and do the leather. I thought it was Amazing how Cantlay and Xander just didn't care, didn't even know, didn't
they
care,
were the
and then just won the
perfect
match.
Opponent for those two, because it provided just such a wonderful juxtaposition. I love the Kims. I know you have some problems with Tom Kim. I thought it was delightful. It breathed energy. You have to have just irrational people in. He was being.
Yes.
It made the event better. That event would have really been a dud without the Kims.
Totally. I think they're great. But the sort of. Can I read you some quotes from Tom Kim's episode on Netflix? Can I read you some quotes?
I'll say this. If you're going to run around and do all these antics, you also have to be ready for the other team to give it back to you. You can't run your mouth and not get anything back. You have to run your mouth and be ready for it to come back and enjoy that it's coming back. Because if they're talking back at you, what you're doing is bothering them. And you're winning. But instead, he let that bother him.
Poor sportsmanship. You can't be going around screaming after every made putt, doing inside the leather, and and then call everybody a poor sport. I love that they were there. I love that they were part of it. They had so much. I just think the media coverage is not necessarily commensurate with the player that Tom Kim has yet become. Quotes from his Netflix episode. Okay. Tom Kim went to becoming a literal global superstar.
That one has
it's hard to argue there's ever been a better 20-year-old than Tom Kim. He's a generational talent. The greats are going to be watching him. Tom Kim proved that playing with an injury that he's really as good as any player out there. That was at the Open. They called it tiger-like, the way he played. The greats are going to, this is a guy who's going to win some major championships. These are the quote. I just think the framing around him, he might be very good because he does these really high profile things that I like, and I'm glad he's doing them, are then sort of overinflated when it comes to the context of which we view him the other weeks of the year. Is that fair? You got to be ready. The Koreans have added an amazing. The Kim specifically have added an amazing sort of element to this, and Siwoo really since Liberty National. I mean, shushing the crowd down 25 points or whatever they were. They've been a great element.
Incredible. I mean, Siwoo's got like a pretty good bona fides, with his golf resume. I mean, the Kims are great. Yeah. Is he overblown? Absolutely. Is he a problem? No, this is not a problem. He's injecting some much needed fun and excitement in an event that was a blowout all weekend.
Speaking of that Siwoo chip-in and the night, the Steph Curry night, and this happened again today. Are we just giving embedded ball relief to thick rough now? When the rough is thick, we're just going to come in and we're just people called that out. Like, did we really just say it's embedded because it's in a lot of heavy rough? That seemed to be a trend this weekend. They did it again on Sunday.
It's gonna be pick your own lie PGA Tour.
It was quick. I think whoever was the walking reporter, Bones, was like, I'm shocked. They just said, yeah, sure, good. That's good. Embedded. Pick it up. Put it in a nice spot. It happened fast. Tom Kim was good today. He took Burns. He went toe-to-toe, to use McGinley's term. Toe-to-toe with Sam Burns. Missed the putt on 16 through the shadows. That was the one time he really could have broken away, I think, and won it. But he hit a bunch of good shots. He was pretty good this year. Today, after all the bullshit on Saturday night, that TIO shadow is ridiculous. The back right pin on 16,
insane.
It was insane. Amazing. That was
the tour is just such a ridiculous regulator. Like they're not a serious governing body.
Oversight.
Yes. All right. You got anything else on Peak Cup?
Championship management getting their hands on more and more stuff. I got nothing else. We give grades to every single person. A to Benon for tweeting. Just
and then deleting it, and then an F for deleting it.
Yes, absolutely.
When everybody's just going to be able to resurface your deleted tweet. It's almost worse. And then he said, I'm deleting this.
It's Streisand effect.
And it was like, what did he say? It made everybody be like, what did he say?
Let me find out what he said. Who has the screenshot? Benon A, Tom Kim A, Siwoo A. The Koreans are just mixing it up. Were awesome. They're amusing. What would you give the overall
Adam
Peak
Scott?
Cup? Let's just let the old man be. Guy's taken 20 years of beatings at this event. He's just a classy gentleman.
Overall Peak Cup a C+.
Okay. Yeah, I'll give it like a B.
Actually,
I honestly didn't think it was too bad.
I'm going to take the majors. I'm going to take the majors out. So I'm going to just take the majors out of the grading criteria. Then it's like a B+.
Okay.
Actually, maybe even an A. I enjoyed it more than like almost any regular PGA Tour event.
Yeah,
we're going to have to go through a problem for the PGA Tour.
We're going to have to go through some Xander quotes on Wednesday. Did you see some of his quotes about how he was just essentially done playing golf after the Open?
Yeah.
We'll talk about that on Wednesday. Deconstruct that. Elsewhere in golf, Jasmine Suwanapura wins the Northwest Arkansas Championship over Lucy Lee in a playoff, 2-hole playoff down there. Lucy Lee making a name for herself on the LPGA this year. And then in Europe, the DP World Tour this morning, pretty solid coffee golf ahead of the singles. John Rahm loses in a playoff to Angel Hidalgo. For a while there, it looked like that was Live Central. You had Pat Reed, David Puig was well in front. John Rahm was mixing it up. He really looked like a Live Invitational there for a minute. But Hidalgo beats Rahm in extra holes. Really fun. I mean, like a real momentous win for Hidalgo. Yeah, I think that does it. You got anything else?
Nothing else. I just need 20 seconds on from PJ on his Jets loss.
They lost to the Broncos, huh?
Yeah.
Oh, did they ever?
At home?
That one on the list, the very long list of like terrible Jets losses. That one it's up there. It's in the top 5. That's the first sporting event, and this can change by the time you're listening to this tomorrow after the Mets get swept in a doubleheader to try to make the playoffs. But that one, I sat there and like didn't talk for a half hour. That one really killed me today. That one was really bad. That was embarrassing today. That was awful.
Was Bo Nix good?
No, he was terrible.
It was 10-9. The score was 10-9.
He had -7 passing yards at halftime. I believe he finished with 53 total. He did not throw one catchable ball downfield until like midway through the third quarter. And they lost with Aaron Rodgers at home. So looking forward to Sam Darnold beating them next week. It's going to be great. It's going to be fantastic.
Sam's hot.
Sam's going to win the MVP. So
is Bob Saleh going to make it to December?
Oh no. I'd be worried about checking his passport coming back from London next week if it goes south. It might get bad.
Okay. All right.
All right.
Last one, Andy. What's your overall grade for Royal Montreal?
Oh, I hope I don't ever have to see it again. So
okay. All right.
I'm just gonna leave it ungraded.
Okay. There we
I'll
go.
just say that.
All right, we had a
keep
blast.
it nice.
We had a blast. A blast doing President's Cup. Honestly, just team match play in general was great. This past week we did the 2 live, I guess you'd call it, a hangout for club on Thursday, live during golf on Friday. That was only on YouTube. Didn't post to the feed. If you want to go see some fun over there, we'll try to do more. We'll see some big events. Not probably this year. Not a lot left. I don't know if we're going to do Dunhill Coffee Golf deal, but it was a fun week. Thanks to B. Dratty for their support. Really happy for them. Obviously, they've been with us since day one. To see them on such a global stage, so to speak, was cool. We have that promo code, SGS30. They've helped us along the way. Support them for supporting us. We will talk to you on Wednesday. Back in the saddle. Sanderson. Loaded up. Can't wait.